Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy Judgmo. Arsenal war chest is £100 million. Zubimendi takes half of that. Is Arteta in trouble? Does he have to sell? Who should go from the Arsenal team? What happened wrong? What happened this season? What went wrong? Is this season a progression in terms of Champions League? Is it a regression in terms of the league? How can Arsenal keep challenging for the league? What is going on? Are the fans turning on Mikel Arteta? Is this his last chance next season? We spoke to a lot of people that go to the stadium. It's a 50-50 at the current moment. Of course, there's a lot of talk about fans in the stadium turning on him. And there's a lot of talk about fans in the stadium that are still behind the guy, still behind the project. We got the man himself here, Lee, to tell us all about it. Of course, Lee Judges, the famous guy. He's everywhere, of course, with the grind, of course, and all the talk about like Arteta and Arsenal and the Cronkies and all this stuff. Can actually Arsenal challenge for the league next season and actually win it? Because challenging is not enough at the current moment. 3 seasons on the bounce. Saliba's linked to Real Madrid. Saka staying. There is Thomas Partey, Zubemendi, Gyökeres, Rodrygo, Nico Williams. There's a lot of talk that is happening in the Arsenal. But listen, before we even go on and talk about the show, hit that like button, people, if you're here. Lee's channel is pinned in the actual title. So click on that. Lee's doing great work, of course, on Damn Pots, on his channel, on AFTV, on a lot of platforms you'll see Lee. But first, how are you, Lee? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm all good. I've had better weeks. But, all in all, not too bad. Life's okay.
I'm glad to see you smiling, bro. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah,
There's a lot of Arsenal fans that are not smiling. There's a lot of Arsenal fans that are not smiling.
There's a lot of Arsenal fans not silent. Quite rightly so, like, you know what I mean? It's not been a great season for us this year, like, you know, and a difficult one, to be honest. A lot of difficult things going on, and so, you know, when people say like, "Oh, 3 title bids," and all, we weren't in a title race this season. We was never really in it. It's been a poor season from that front, really.
Yeah, but can I actually say something? We had a discussion yesterday with an Arsenal fan, a young Arsenal fan. His name is Dylan. He goes home and away, season ticket holder for like 10 years, goes home and away. And he said that, yes, we have been disappointing in the league, and he wants Arteta out. He was like, I want a better manager. But the fact that Arsenal reached a semi-final of the Champions League, the fact that you were the outsiders, basically. You were the lowest. If I'm not, Aston Villa were lower than Arsenal, but everyone gave you no chance against Real Madrid. You still smashed Real Madrid 5-1, beat them home and away. You reached the semi-final. From a lot of people's point of view, Arsenal didn't have a great performance. I thought Arsenal had an okay performance. The better team went through. I know Arteta said otherwise, but the better team went through. PSG are just stronger than Arsenal. They have a more experienced manager in Luis Enrique. But this Champions League campaign is taken out of context a lot of times. I watched your video on AFTV when you said Arteta got us here. We weren't supposed to be. No one told us. No one put us to be in a semi-final of a Champions League. That by itself is a progression a little bit. At least we can say that.
Yeah, you can say that as far as the Champions League concerned, because you look at it last season, quarter-final, this season, semi-final. But, you know, you don't have to be great to get to the Champions League final, and you don't have to be the best team to get to the semi-final or the quarter-final. You know, Arsenal proved that this season. I think that to go to where we got without a forward, you know, is I never expected it. Like, you know,
doesn't it take a good coach to do this?
Yeah, it does. It does take a good coach to do that. That's a great point, and get the best out of a bunch of players.
A midfielder as a striker, a player that everyone wanted out in Kivior, an 18 years old, and a left back, like Saka come back from injury. Like, it takes and that's, listen, I'm trying to be honest. Yet you failed in the league. Bridesmaid and all this banter thing. No one gave Arsenal a chance. Mikel Merino up top. Kivior at the back.
Joe May made a great point there, like, you know, and I think people don't realise that. Now that this take that into context, forget about January at the moment. I don't care what level of football you play at, whether it be Premier League, League One, Sunday morning, or whatever. If you've not got forward and not got your forwards playing, you struggle. It's as simple as that, like, you know. And Arsenal haven't had a forward since January. You know, when they lost Havertz. A lot of people argue that he's not a forward and he's not a what you say, a traditional forward is what a lot of other teams have got. But wholeheartedly, if you take like that out, and then at one stage of that season, you've got no Martinelli, no Havertz, no Saka, you know, and you're going into league games and expecting to win games. It's very, very tough. So to maintain the sort of standards that we have done, you have to say, yeah, that's great, and we've done well. And then to do what we've done in the Champions League, we've done unbelievably well. You know, to beat Real Madrid like we did was fantastic. But I look at that with a little bit of disappointment because we weren't expected to beat them. I think a few people expected us maybe not to beat PSG over two legs. I thought it was always going to be tough. I expected us to beat them at home, and we didn't do that. Where I didn't really expect anything when we was playing Real Madrid. So I think there was a bit of pressure on Arsenal then. And again, that's where I think that we failed a little bit when the pressure...
Can I ask a question about this? Do you think Arteta bottles it when there is like pressure on him? I'm gonna give you what I mean. Against Real Madrid, you did content with a lot of people, and I did content with tons of people. 0% chance you're going to smash home and away. Hussam, for example, you know, Hussam said that the tie will be over at the Emirates. And Arteta proved people wrong. He went to PSG, and you all expected, you, Turkish, everyone said, yeah, we'll beat them at home. We beat Real Madrid. We can beat PSG. And there was less pressure on him to perform at that because everyone expected him to win. But against Real Madrid, everyone didn't expect him to win. So there was little pressure. You think he bottles it when he has pressure on him?
It's a harsh word, bottle, but I think it's something that...
Forget bottle. You get my point. Like, he doesn't perform well.
100%.
He doesn't perform when there is pressure, when there is something on the line.
I don't know if it's him, just Mo, or the team. I think that, you know, I look back at last season in the league against Aston Villa. It was the first time in the whole season and the only time in the whole season that we had it in our hands and our hands only, no one else.
Yes.
And we failed, we lost. Semi-finals of the
against Newcastle. Newcastle.
Didn't perform in either. And I look back at this one and I think to myself, you know, pressure on pressure, not pressure. There's pressure on it because it's semi-finals. Pressure
when things are on the line. Pressure is also when there's things on the line. When you're not, when you are the favorites. You get like against Aston Villa, you were the favorites. Against West Ham, you were the favorites. Against PSG, people said that Arsenal now they beat it. By the way, the people didn't mention this. Arsenal is the only team in the Champions League quarterfinal that won home and away. We didn't. Inter, Barcelona didn't. Paris Saint-Germain didn't.
No.
Right? Arsenal are the only team. So they win to them. People say, yeah, it's Arsenal's Champions League. Now Arteta feels, okay, I'm superior. And then he doesn't win. Against Aston Villa, it's in your hand. He doesn't win. When things are on the line, he kind of little bit struggles. He overthinks things.
Yeah, listen, I think that if I look back at the two games against PSG, the time for him to earn his money and make him the elite manager was when he lost Thomas Partey. What did he do? And he just went completely safe, and it was the wrong decision. We got overrun in midfield and beaten on the day. In the second leg, Thomas Partey comes back, team picks itself, much better performance. So they're the little key things that I think people would, I would question Arteta on. It's getting you there. That's one thing. There's a lot of managers that can't get you there, but then there's the elite, the top managers that get you over there. And listen, maybe a little bit of luck's needed, maybe whatever. But at the end of the day, I think that you can't keep getting to that stage and not getting over the line. And doesn't mean to say you're a bad
Why
manager.
there's no context for Arsenal? Why there's no context for Arsenal?
What do you mean?
Why the injuries are not mentioned for Arsenal this season? I'm going to give you an example. And I said that to the Liverpool fans that are about to get triggered in the chat. I know I have a lot of them. I have a lot of Chelsea fans. If Liverpool lost Salah this season, let's say next season, Liverpool start the season and Salah and Van Dijk get injured for 3 and 4 months, and Arsenal and City stay fit, wouldn't people give context to Liverpool? If Arsenal next season start, you get Gyökeres. I'm going to just give you a very hypothetical scenario that can happen and happen to City. You lost Rodrygo. What, game week 5 or something like this, or game week 6, and he's out. If Arsenal get all the signings in the world and then Saka gets injured, Gyökeres gets injured, now we're square one. Why people don't do context for Arsenal? Is it because the 2 seasons that you failed to win the league and it must be Arsenal this season? Why people don't give context?
I don't know. How I look at it is that every team gets injuries. It depends what injuries you get, key injuries. We had key injuries, but also I think that we weren't playing that well before these injuries, Mo. So that's what. So I'm not going to go down that road. But if you have a look at it and try and be rational about it, there were injuries for Pep, who is so-called the best manager in the world, losing games left, right and centre. January transfer window comes along, buys 3 or 4 players, and look where their form goes from there on. Sometimes it's managers, sometimes it's players, and I think that when you look at Arsenal, and this is where the context comes from me in it, if Arsenal was serious, if Arsenal ball was serious, Arteta was serious, when it comes to January, you go and buy players and whatever. There was a serious question whether Manchester City were even going to get Champions League before the transfer window. They made sure by the end of January that the worst case scenario, they were going to get Champions League football and maybe an FA Cup, maybe even the Champions League, because they were still in the Champions League at that stage. But we had a lot of injuries, yes, but they were. I would be a little bit more sympathetic of Arsenal if we got those injuries in February, and there's nothing you can do. Yeah. Nothing you can do. You got to just go, do you know what? That is a bit of bad luck. We've lost Saka, we've lost Jesus, we've lost Havertz, and we've lost Martinelli in February. We lost them all in January or December. I think the only one we didn't lose was
Saka was injured.
Yeah, Saka was injured, but I think it was Havertz that was after the transfer window. So, when you got a transfer window and all your forwards have gone down, I don't think you should be looking at other teams and saying, well, they haven't got injuries or what haven't they and whatever. Take Liverpool, for instance. Liverpool have had injuries this season. They've not had it to their key players. They've not had it to Salah, not had it to Van Dijk. If them two go out, it's a different case. But they, the injuries that they got, they could manage. I think that we had injuries the year before, but no one talks about them because you can manage them. It's the big injuries that matter. I don't buy into, someone said about, I think Arteta said it as well, 6 players sent off. Would have cost us 4 or 5 points, Mo, not 16 points, whatever it is. We're away from Liverpool at this moment in time. I think that two things are for me are a big factor. Yes, injuries happened, and for whatever Arteta, I think, changed the system and whatever.
So why would you do that? You mentioned, and I agree with you. Why did Arteta start so slow, and instead of picking up the same form? You ended last season with 16 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss, almost winning the league. Why didn't he start the season the right way, like every manager, picking up from the form, especially when you didn't win the league? You didn't need to have this cautious approach, like just get a draw here if I get a red card. Just why didn't he go for it? I really don't understand this. And I'm like, this is why I criticize Arteta. I'm like, why? Why the cautious approach?
That is the criticism for me of Arteta and the team, because you're dead right. To go 16 games, 15 games, one draw, and that draw was at Manchester City, by the way, away from home. You know, that is unbelievable form. You know, Manchester City, of course, had that unbelievable form as well. But if you look back at Manchester City, they started off fantastically well. Then they picked up a couple of injuries and dropped off. The fact that Arsenal stayed cautious, I didn't stay cautious, changed, and went cautious. I don't know. I get it when a couple of players got injured, like Odegaard, that you have to go a little bit more cautious. I get that, but that was we were still, as I say, before he even got injured, we wasn't in the best of form. So that was something I could see. And the other thing is people can look at it and whatever and say, if you've done this and done that. Liverpool have had an exceptional season where they've kept going and going and going. Now, the fact people go about that, and I don't want to ever go at Liverpool and all that, like, fantastic what they've done. They had no pressure put on them. If they'd have had the pressure that we had to put on, Manchester City have put on us over the last couple of years, who knows? But there was a time, and this is when you go back to your point again about pressure, is we go at home against West Ham on the Saturday. Manchester City are playing Liverpool at the Etihad on the Sunday. If we win that game, we go 5 points behind them, and pressure. What happens? We lose that home game, and then the pressure on the Man City game is less. Yeah. So there are times when you have to look at certain games. That was when the season, whenever we played West Ham, that was the day that the title race went for me. So there's lots of questions. Do you know, Mo? You know, I don't buy into this like Arteta as a clown sort of stuff. But if someone wants to come on and say to me, I think Arteta should be going and whatever, I ain't got an argument for it no more. I haven't got it's their prerogative to say that now. Like, you know, I don't think I'm quite there at that moment in time, but I can understand why other. Would
you switch him for a better manager? So I always ask this question, and that is my. By the way, I support Inter. If Inzaghi reach a Champions League final and lose it, and there is a better manager out there, I would swap him. I have no sentimental value for anyone at my club. I have no Zanetti anymore.
Yeah,
if there is a better manager, I'm fine. I'll take him, bro. I'll take him, my man.
I agree. You've got to have a better manager, but it's got to be the right fit as well. Like, you know what I mean? The Arsenal fit. It's no good saying like, oh, let's get a better manager and he's buy players, or like, you know, like for instance, Pep, I don't think would be a great fit for Arsenal, because he as good as he is and whatever, he has to have the players. You know what I mean? He didn't have the players this season. Look how poor they've been. As soon as he gets players back in a transfer window, they're a much better side. So it's got to be someone that can coach.
But you have the players. We cannot have it both ways.
Oh,
we cannot sit here. Okay, so we cannot. So that means Arteta's doing a great job. Okay, we cannot have it both ways. Listen, I listen to Lee, and I listen to Dan. You cannot tell me that you don't have the players, but yet and you're second in the league 3 years in a row, Champions League semi-final, and so I mean the manager is a genius. Like, by the way, Inter people tell me the same. Like, I go like head to head with Inter guys, like when I do content about Inter, and they tell me, bro, Inzaghi's doing a miracle. We don't have the players. And I think we have the players. So I think he should be winning the league this season. We cannot say that Arteta doesn't have the players, right? And he's not good. So one of them has to be great. It's either the players are very good or Arteta is a genius. Do you get my...
I get what you're saying here, but I'll counter argue with that. Like, you know, I mean, we haven't got the players, we haven't got the centre forward that can win you the games. Now, is Arteta doesn't want that man because he doesn't manage him or can't manage that sort of character. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go back to when Man United were in a very, very similar position to what we're in now. Going back when Alex Ferguson first took over, I haven't won nothing for years and years. You know, a couple of cups here and there, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, Struck can't get over the line in the league. What's he going to do? He went and signed Eric Cantona, who was a fantastic footballer, but yeah, and someone that was always going to be hard to manage. Didn't shy away from it, Mo. Now, is Arteta shying away from that sort of a player? Now, if he is, then, you know, he's not as genius as what you think he is, like, you know. So
I don't think he's a genius. I think he's a good coach.
No, he's a good coach. Yeah, but
I would take him at Inter because I think he would do wonders with Inter in the Serie A.
I think that he does wonders with what he's with the younger players and whatever. But somewhere along the line, mate, you know, how can I say it, of the younger players, they can get you so far. You need that maverick sort of a player, like, you know what I mean? And you've got to be brave enough to manage that. And I'm not so sure that he can. But well,
I like this.
And we'll see how it is, see what he does. But you know, yeah,
you need a Salah, you need a Kevin De Bruyne, you need you don't have these guys. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about De Bruyne, but I don't know about salary. But you know, I mean,
someone similar in their prime that you can't. Someone with a bigger. To be honest with you, I actually think that Arteta struggles with personalities that might be bigger than him in the media. Like, you get my point. Like, there are people that will struggle with bigger personalities in the media, and there are people that can handle. I'm going to give you an example. At Inter, at some point, we had Adriano, Zlatan Ibrahimovic are two strikers. But Mourinho managed them, and he didn't shy away from them being. They were very big personalities, and he was okay with managing them. I actually think that Arteta might struggle with a big personality, someone who will go and talk to the media and stuff like this.
I also think, Mo, this is my own personal opinion, and this is why I question Arteta. Well, I will question Arteta. I think he likes a small squad as well.
I wouldn't get him anywhere unless he doesn't have any injuries. Injuries happen in football.
But to manage a big squad, you've got to have that little bit about you as well.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
You know, I can play him here, I can keep him happy. You know, they're the little things that I question. I question. You know, yeah, that's just those sort of things. I thought, look, listen, I think he's done fantastically well to get us chat. I remember doing a show a couple of years ago, a live show I was doing, like, and I'd just come back from America, and they was going around all the predictions. You know, they had a Spurs fan on there, Man City fan on there, Man United fan, blah, 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 blah. And they was going, where do you think you come? Third, fourth? Well, we win it. And they come to me and said, where do you think you come? And I said, second. And I got laughed at. And
this season?
No, it was about 2-3 seasons ago. When Saliba's first season, Jesus had just signed that season. And everybody's laughing at me, like, you know what I mean? You got no chance, you know what I mean? You'll be lucky to get top 4 and all that. I said, well, I've just come back from America. I've seen what I've seen. I've seen the beast Saliba. I've seen what we can do. And, you know, circumstances didn't happen that season. We lost Jesus. We lost Saliba at the end of it. And we ended up coming second. But I see something in the team and the players. And I see Arsenal at this moment in time at a certain level. If they don't go in and buy the proper players this summer, then they're never going to get to that level. They're never going to get to the level that we need.
What players?
They need a proper forward that's going to score 20, 24. Now, I know you can't guarantee that, but you know what I'm saying. A forward.
I know, an established player that on paper should work.
Yeah, and knows how to play the centre forward role, right?
Yeah.
Now, with that, I think comes problems for the manager because he doesn't like that sort of a player. But that is what you got to have. You know what I mean? You got to have that sort of. I don't say greed. Listen, I don't know if you play football or I play football.
I played a lot of football.
So like we play football. So you got a forward. They're a different breed to us. In the other players in the team, they're selfish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got your point. Someone who would, with a 50% chance, he will try to go to goal and score a goal instead of passing and doing the build and doing the link-up play and all this stuff.
If you win 2-0 and you've had a really good performance away from home and you're sitting on the coach and all that, you look around and he's got the ump. Well, you go, what you got the ump for? Oh, I didn't score, did I? You know what I mean? That sort of thing, like, you know what I mean? But then we draw 1-1 and you get on the coach and he's buzzing. So, you know what I mean? Like, he's got his goal. It's a different character. It's a different sort of thing. So they definitely need someone like that. I think that they need another wide player that's more direct, not completely different to what we've got at the moment. Someone that's got just complete and utter pace and directs, so that when you're playing teams that are
sit deep,
counter attack, you've got something there. So there's another option. I think they need another midfield player, and possibly someone at the back to share.
Can I tell you what I really think is happening? And let me just do the super. Big up everyone. We've got about 600 people in the house. So hit that like button, people. And big up Lee and Mo. Come on, you Gunners. Yeah, big up my man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you guys. Get your questions in if you want. I actually think that Arsenal shouldn't go next season with an if. That means if Odegaard can get back to his form. So what happened this season, and just let me tell you from outside, this is how I looked at it. Arsenal went on this season, and that is why you chase Cisco, by the way, in the summer, because Havertz has had a magnificent second half of the season. You remember the 16 goals or something like this? So Arsenal said, we're going to be very, very good if Martinelli can go back to the form he had 2 seasons ago, if Havertz replicate the season that he had, right? And if Thomas Partey stays fit. And the problem is that didn't happen, right? Only Thomas Partey stayed fit. Martin Odegaard this season, Mikel Arteta has turned him into a conductor. You know, the number 8 that gets the ball from the defense. You go to the games and you know that sometimes Martin Odegaard is deeper than Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. He goes deeper, get the ball from Saliba and then get it to Saka. That shouldn't be his role at all, right? And he turned into a conductor, someone who passes the ball around, not the playmaker, not the guy that got 22 GA 2 seasons ago when he challenged and he fell off in the last 8 games. Not the player that came on in the second half of last season and he was magnificent. And I think he got like 10 goals or something like this and 8 assists that season. And I don't think that Arsenal should go next season with a player like Odegaard with a big if. You should be challenging Odegaard as a playmaker, especially if you get a Zubimendi. Because if Odegaard doesn't create and he gets a 6 GA like this season, I'm not sure if you know this, Lee. You know you're last in creativity from the midfield. Last in the league. You lost Southampton.
Yeah, we've been poor. It's been poor. Listen, I think that a lot of that's to do with injury and whatever. But you're right. That's got to change. I love that scenario that you just said, by the way. Like if so, I don't want that now. That first game of the season, well, I even go back further than that. But when we go on that tour, I want to see players that I'm thinking like, right, we're going to win it this year, not if we're going to win it, if this is that. So
if this guy goes back to it, we'll win it. If this guy scored, no.
And listen, what I think that's a great point you made also, because then there's no excuses for Arteta. There's no way you can turn around and go, if you've got players in place here and all there, like at the minute, there's, if Arteta had a centre forward, if he had this, if he had that, he could be this and he could be that. No, everything's aligned. And if you haven't got those players at the end of the window, that's down to you as the manager, because you've allowed that to happen. And then all what happens, and if they don't win the league, then he's got to go. So I think it's a massive, massive summer for Arsenal. Massive, massive summer for Arteta as well. And yeah, I
100 million is not enough. Let me just establish something. 100 million is not enough. That it doesn't get you 2 top players. It doesn't.
No, where's that come from? Where is
Sky
that come
Sports.
from? Sky Sports.
Sky Sports just put a whole did a whole thing, and they said they have 100 million this summer. If they need more, it depends on departures and all the stuff. They literally put that yesterday.
Yeah, that I know where they're getting their information from. No one knows what sort of information it is. All we've been told, and I've been told, it's going to be a big summer for Arsenal. And if 100 million is a big summer, my God, we're in trouble.
100 million, bro. That gets you a Gyökeres and half a leg of Nico Williams.
That doesn't get if you're buying Zubimendi for 51 million, I think he's 50 million, something like that. You ain't getting a striker, top class striker for 50 million. You ain't.
Yeah.
You ain't.
Yeah, Jesus cannot be sold. Jesus cannot be sold. He's injured at the current
moment. He won't be sold, but there are a couple of players that are going to be sold, like a couple of the squad players that probably pick up 30, 40, 50 million for that. But like at the end of the day, no, Arsenal are going to have more than that to spare. Listen, if you want my really honest opinion, I think if they said they got a budget of 200 million, I don't think that's enough.
Really? 200 million, you'll get Gyökeres, you'll get Rodrygo, and you'll get Zubemendi. That's good enough.
Yeah, we need 4 or 5 players.
4 or 5 players.
Yeah, but like, you know, with sales as well, like, you know what I mean. So yeah, I think
you're gonna let go of Zinchenko, maybe Kivior. That's the people I know. I know Kivior is linked to Italy.
Jorginho's gone because he's on.
Jorginho's not for sale. He's free.
Yeah, so he's gone. So you still got to replace.
That's Zubimendi.
Gone.
That's free as well.
So he's got to be replaced. Can't you know what I mean? Can't just drop him. We've got.
No, he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be replaced. You have Calafiori and what his name, Miles Kelly. That he doesn't need to be replaced. You need a centre back, and if Kivior goes, you need to replace him. You still got
a thin squad. So I'm not saying you've got to replace in that area. You've got to replace somewhere else. You've got to have 25 players. You can't have 20. You're not going with 23. Well, Arsenal have been in their last sort of. I know we've got injuries and all that, but for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, we've got 4 kids warming up the bench, and they're never going to play a Premier League minute for Arsenal.
Yeah, they don't have pictures on Google. I know that some of the names that are on the bench, they don't have pictures on Google.
If you're chasing Champions League, so this is the thing. It's all Arsenal at the moment. What have we been? We just went for the Champions. We was only in the Champions, but that ain't good enough no more. Just challenge. You've got to be on all fronts, and all fronts mean you've got to have a big, strong squad. And I think that's something that, again, what I alluded to earlier on, that Arteta's not happy with a big like. But I think he's going to have to do.
Can I tell you something for honesty? I don't think you can challenge for all fronts. I don't think there's a team out there at the current moment, bar a exceptional season from City, that can go. Even Liverpool fell off in the Champions League. They didn't win the Cup. They didn't win the FA Cup. They only won the league. Inter, with a very big squad in comparison with Serie A, we lost the Super Cup. We lost the Cup. We're about to lose the league. People put, I think it's an unrealistic expectation. I think he should focus on 2 competitions or 3 competitions. So, yes, you play the other ones.
Mo, you're talking sense and all that. Like, of course, you're in 4 competitions, but you know you can't put all your eggs into one basket.
Yeah, of course.
Arsenal have done that in the last 3 years: 2 titles and 1 Champions League. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and failed on all 3 because they didn't have anything else. And the reason they ain't got anything else is because they haven't got a big enough, strong enough sort of squad to go to play in an FA, you know, like pulling out the FA Cup and pulling out of, you know, like competitions and all that. Like, you know, we went deep in the League Cup this season, but went out of the FA Cup very, very early. So when you go into January, which people don't, I don't know what it's like in Italy and all that, but in January, our first few games were Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool. Then you've got league games and all that. You've got to be able to have a squad to rotate, and if you go out of both of them, which is what Arsenal did, then you've got nothing, you know. So I'm not saying that they should be targeting everyone, but you've got to keep yourselves in 2 competitions all the time. You know, like Liverpool done that, you know, right? They didn't get over the line in the League Cup, but they were in it, you know what I mean, and they won the league, you know. listen, it doesn't always work. You know, Manchester City have kept themselves in one competition, and they're in the FA Cup this week. But the FA Cup and the Champions League is great. Tottenham and Manchester United have done everything they can to get relegated this season, but they've kept themselves in a cup competition. You know, and at the end,
can I cut you off and tell you honestly? I don't think that is my opinion. I'm not English. I don't think the cups are good enough for Arteta to keep his job. If you consider yourself a big club, you should win one of the 2 big trophies in your 6 years at the club. I know there are a lot of people that say cups are enough. No, cups are enough last year, the year before. In your
I think you're right. I think we've gone where we've been and where we are. He's got to get over the line in the Premier League.
Yes, or the Champions League, or you get win the
Champions League's a cup competition. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's not like the FA Cup league. No,
no, it's not like the FA Cup. Of course it ain't. But at the end of the day, you know, for me, you know, it doesn't mean to say you're the best team if you win the European Cup. It doesn't mean to say you're the best team if you win the FA Cup. You know, it's a little bit of a different format now, but it's 2 different formats. You know what I'm saying? Like, that league is where 38 games. And that shows you the best, particularly in England, when you've got like a lot of really difficult teams in there. Listen, Arsenal got to the semi-final with no forward. You know, like, so you have to have a little bit of luck in cups, as you well know, and all that. But, like, listen, if he gets himself over the line, if we don't win the Premier League next season and win the Champions League, he's
statue, bro. Statue outside the Emirates.
Yeah. That's how big it is. Exactly that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big thing. I get that. Like, you know, and
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who it was. I just said, like, you know, Arteta won with Emery's cup team, like, you know what I mean? And
someone said that in the comments. I don't know.
Like, and it's funny, like that. You know, I don't hear them saying that about Slot, Liverpool fan. No one says that about Slot. He won the league. Why he didn't win the league with Emery's team? Because it's not his team no more. You know what I mean? So even when he wins the FA Cup, there's a little sly dig on it, like, you know what I mean? Right, let's get it right. Slot's won nothing because it was
Jurgen Klopp's team.
Load of rubbish. It's Slot done the business, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and whatever way you look at it, Emery wasn't there to beat Manchester City and Chelsea in the semi-final and final. Don't, you know what I mean? You know, I like the way that people like to do that, like, you know what I mean? And things.
Yeah,
like
it's because it's Arsenal. The problem with Arsenal,
I get it.
But there is a big problem with Arsenal. Listen, I started watching the Premier League like religiously in 2002 when it first came to Egypt. I was still in Egypt. I didn't move to America by then, right? And it was the Henry, the Bergkamps, the Robert Perez, the Ljungberg, the Vieira, and all these people. Since 2004, Arsenal have not won a big trophy. I don't consider the FA Cup enough. Like, I don't consider Coppa Italia. I don't consider like the Coppa del Rey big trophy. That's not enough for Barcelona, Real Madrid, and a club like Arsenal. And I think that's why people talk about Arsenal like you must win the Premier League or the Champions League. You cannot consider yourself a big club with 20 years without even, like Liverpool in their worst time, they were still like reaching semi-finals, finals. They won the Champions League in 2005.
Yeah, exactly that.
Like if during these 20 years you won a Champions League, you reach a Champions League final, you know, you're participating regularly in the Champions League and reaching the latter stages, people will not banter us. And people will not say that, well, you fell off, because Liverpool, even though 30 years are a Premier League title, they were always a main player in Europe. Always a main player in Europe.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. Like the trouble is, and you know, I don't know, other teams have had to go through it and all that, like, you know what I mean. But the stadium thing was a massive wrench for us, you know what I mean. Like, we left Highbury being in a Champions League final, won the FA Cup the year before that, the Invincible the year before that, FA Cup before that, double before that, blah 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 blah, winning, and we was fantastic. And if you'd have said to me, like, coming out at the game against Leicester when we'd just gone unbeaten the whole season, by the way, you won't win another title for 25 years, I'd have laughed.
That's what I mean. Same as Man United 2012.
Yeah,
Man United fans would laugh at you if you tell them that you won't win the league again until
exactly
2025.
But football changed. Football changed. So long come Chelsea with all the money that happened, and look what's happened to Chelsea since. It's not been there. Like, you know, Manchester City come along, that was a team that was up and down more than a yo-yo. If I be honest, you know, I think even in that time when even in League One at that stage, you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't know that there's another team called Manchester City.
Yeah, there's you know, and listen, in all my lifetime growing up, Manchester City never won nothing apart from getting to a cup final against Spurs and blew that. You know what I mean? So they've never been that, but now look at the powerhouse they are. So football changed a little bit. Where I've got to say that Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United had the pickings of it at one stage. It was really them. Aston Villa had a little run in it, like, you know what I mean, and blah blah blah. But realistically, they were the three that were winning it. And Liverpool have always been a powerhouse club. But you have to look at Liverpool at this moment in time, and you have to grudgingly admire it. You know, I mean, you go to their stadium. I didn't go this weekend, but I was at Everton a few weeks before that. You walk across the park. It's this massive stadium that they've built on the quiet. Really, they haven't gone round, you know, just doing it bit by bit by bit. And I know they've got the room to do it and whatever, but they've done it. And also now with Liverpool, they're in a position where they can compete and everything like that. Manchester United, on the other hand, have always had this big stadium, which is not fit for purpose now. You know, there could be some more difficult times around the corner for them, especially if they go and buy that tent that they're thinking of doing, like, you know what I mean? So it'll be a difficult one for them to fund everything else and fund everything now. They're struggling there, Man United, to fund things, you know.
Amorim is paying for tickets for people to go to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, listen, there's a thing. I think, you know, I don't want Spurs to win that trophy. I want Man United to win it. But
they win it, they get Gyökeres from you.
Yeah, well, Spurs, if Manchester United win it, they're more of a danger than anybody else, because they have got that pull.
That's why I want Spurs to win it.
Oh, like, I know what you're saying, but I don't want Spurs to win. But
I know, but think logically about your club.
From a selfish Inter Milan view, you are like, and I get that, because Man United will be what they've been. But like someone said to me the other day, which is a great point, like last time Man United were in the Champions League, what happened? They went straight out of it, and look where they are.
No, but it's about your target. Amorim, Gyökeres, your bid. They bid for Gyökeres. They have Amorim. They have Champions League football. They can snatch Gyökeres. Now you're left with who? You're left with Liam Delap. You're left with Osimhen. You're left with Cisco.
If that's what he wants to do, I don't want him. If he wants to go to a team, if you want, you know, and I think this is a thing like, oh, he only come because it's Champions League football. Why would you want him? If he wants to play for Man United, you play for Man United, whether it's in Europa League or whatever. You know, and we had this argument a few years ago with us. You know what I mean? All of our good players have come to us when they was in the Europa League. So I don't buy into that thing. And if Gyökeres was waiting for Man United, I don't want him. If that's the case,
he just said, someone just texted me and he said he's actually said that he's waiting for Europa League to make his decision.
Well, if he is, the final, what's he waiting? What's he waiting to go? Spurs,
he's waiting if Man United, if Man United will make Champions League or not. Because if Man United win Europa League on Wednesday,
then if he said that, Arsenal should be cutting negotiations with him and having nothing to do with him.
I think you are in need. I think he has the power now. The difference is, like I tell you the difference between Arsenal and City, for example. City have the power. What I mean, City have Pep, City win leagues, City do this, City have a lot of money. Arsenal are not in the same situation. So you need the player more than the player needs you, in my opinion. Like, because I think if you get a Cisco, you get my point. I think if you get a Cisco, I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough. You need the player. You need Gyökeres more than he needs you. He's 27 years old.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I do. We need we don't need a project striker at this moment.
Exactly.
Liam Delap, for instance, you know, like at the end of the day, is potentially could be 10 times better than.
Yeah, but not now.
But not now. Exactly that, like, you know what I mean? Same as Sesko, not now. You need to get someone in now. Now, you know,
Like that person, if he fails,
2 or 3 years.
That person, if they fail, like for example, if Arsenal get Gyökeres and it doesn't work, no one can banter Arsenal and say you didn't do the business. We literally got one of the best strikers in the world at the current moment. What else do you want to do? But if you get Sesko and it doesn't work, it's your fault or Liam Delap because you went for a project player again.
Yeah. Listen, Arsenal can't afford to have a project. So I agree with that, like, you know what I mean? But if he wants to go Man United, like, good luck to him. I don't care, like, you know what I mean? Like, he lived up halfway up north, didn't he? Like, at Coventry, you know, and at the end of the day, if he wants to go Man United, he goes Man United. I'm not bothered, like, listen, I'm not bothered if it, Man United need 10 players to even compete. 10 players they need to even compete, like, you know what I mean? So when you look at him, you know, like, go there, like, you know what I mean? I don't think anything's going to happen for 2 or 3 years as far as titles concerned for Man United. I think Man United are realistically the way that club's being run at the moment is shambolic. You can't have Man United. I don't know where Man United are in the league. Where are they in the league?
They're 16th. Spurs are 17th.
So they're fifth from bottom of the league. Is that correct?
Yes. Only Spurs are below them before the relegation team. Only Spurs are below them in the relegation. So Man United are 16th, Spurs 17th, and there are 3 teams.
39 points. In a normal Premier League season, they'd be going into the last 2 games.
Relegation. Yeah, it's a relegation form. He's won 6 games, Ruben Amorim.
That is not acceptable for a Man United football club.
Of course it's not, but this is where Man United
I remember
are
Man
now.
United fans, right? Man United fans enjoy 8th. What's it like down there? Well, they've doubled that. You know, like when Arsenal were 8th, that was bad. You know what I mean? Now, listen, at the end of the day, Tottenham are getting away with it because it's Man United are in that position as well. You know what I mean? Like, Spurs should never be in that position, by the way.
Spurs are not a big team like Man United.
No, they're not. For Man United to be in that position is incredible. It is incredible. And dare I say it, they're going into Europa League final next week against Spurs as second favourites.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone agrees. Only Man United fans disagree. Everyone agrees that they are inferior to Spurs going into that final.
And I'll tell you what, like, you know, and I'll tell you this. People say about winning trophies and all that, like, and I get that. It's fantastic that, you know, Man United fans will say, oh, yeah, but we won a trophy. You won the FA Cup last season, right? What has that got you? What has it got? It's got you the trophy and the bragging rights. It's got you 16th in the league. No Champions League football, but you got a trophy. You know, and I think, I hope that Man United do win it this time around. I really do hope Man United do win it. But even if it wins it, right, let's all have a go at Arsenal. Let's all have a go at so-and-so else to cover.
You know the summer will be long, right? We had a better season than you. You know,
all it is to cover where they are. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. Because it's a disgrace where they are. I don't care if they win their cup or not. Good luck to them. I want them to win the cup. But don't tell me it's a great season for Man United and everything like that. Because the standards of Man United then have dropped not to 1 to 6. If you'd have said to me 10 years ago, Man United will come 16th in the league, I laughed at you. And you know what? I'll tell you what else I'd laugh at. All their fans thinking it's all right because they've got a chance of winning a competition that none of the big boys are in. I'll tell you what, if it's that fucking great, Man United, right, And well, it's that great for Tottenham. Why don't you defend it next season then? If it's that great a trophy, why don't you defend it next season? Say go up to the Premier League, Champions League, and go, do you know what? No, I want to defend that trophy because it's that bloody brilliant. I want to defend it. It's a trophy that they don't want to defend because they want to get out of it, and that's how it is. But at the end of it, you can't hide away from where they are in the league. Listen, whether you hate Man United or not,
I don't.
I've known Man United when they've been I've relegated and back in they're a great football club. Always supported fantastically well. Unbelievable club. Went years and years and years without winning the title. Years and years. I remember them going 10 games, winning their first 10 games of the season back in the 80s and still losing to Liverpool. And runners up to Liverpool more times than Arsenal ever were. But they kept going and going and going. And eventually they got a manager in Alex Ferguson and took them to the promised land. And for a club like Man United, to be.
You think they'll ever go back to competing? Because people are afraid. Do you think they will go back to competing in the foreseeable future?
Not to the levels that they've done.
Like they're not.
I look at it, Man United. I said this a couple of seasons ago, and I say it again. What Man United player would you take in your team?
Me, Bruno Fernandes.
You wouldn't have took him last year. He was awful last year, but this season he's been fantastic. Anybody else?
I'll take Amad Diallo, probably. Maybe Lenny Yoro. He's been good. But
there ain't many, is there? There ain't many. But 5, 6, 10, 20 years ago, you take the whole bloody lot.
Yeah. You'll take everyone.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But for Man United to go back into it, this is what I say. Great that they're going to, hopefully they go and win the cup, But to challenge for the title, challenge for Liverpool, challenge Newcastle, challenge Man City, they've got to get a complete spine.
Oh, they're years away from that, Lee.
Yeah, they've got to get a goalkeeper. They've got to get a better centre half. They've got to get a central midfielder and a centre forward, right? So there's 4 positions there you can't do in one window because you're looking at a lot of money. So they're a long way off of it, a long way off of it. And if they ain't, this manager deserves everything that he gets because he's going to be unbelievable. But what does it tell you, Mo, when players are turning up for cup competitions and not league games they can't win?
I tell you, the adrenaline, nobody can motivate them in the league. They don't believe that they will be challenging for the league anytime soon. They believe that the cups will mask. And I said that. It's something that people need to criticize Amram about. How can you motivate players playing against Arsenal in the cup, playing against Bilbao in the cup, playing against Lyon, but you can't motivate them playing against West Ham? I'm not talking about the last game. I'm talking about before.
The reason that is, Mo, is because the players at the end of the day, if they beat West Ham, they don't get nothing. But if they beat Bilbao, they've got a final. If they beat Spurs, they've got a medal. There's a lot of that, so there's a lot of players in that team that's attitude.
You think the players are not playing for the club? You think they're just playing for personal glory?
Of course they're playing for themselves at the moment, because if they're playing for their club, they wouldn't be where they are in the league. Same for Spurs. You know what I mean? You're telling me Spurs can go and beat
Frankfurt. They beat Frankfurt home and away.
Yeah, beat them away 1-0, and then they go and lose to someone 5-2 or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, you know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day,
I'm not sure if he's going to be doing good in the league next season or not.
Well, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But at the end of the day, that they're in a final. Good luck to them for that. And at the end of the day, there was if Man United and Tottenham avoided each other, that was always going to happen. You know what I mean? Because they are the best 2 teams in it, on club and everything like that. You know what I mean? And basically, look, come on. I don't think I'm going to take a photo of this I've got now where these 2 teams are, 4th from bottom and 5th from bottom, right? That's never ever going to happen again. There's never ever, them 2 teams will never ever be that low again. I can guarantee it, because the clubs won't put up with it. The reason they've put up with it this season is because they're desperate for Champions League football. But one of them is going to be happy. The other's going to be
finalist and 16th or 17th. That's what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, one of them's having the wonderful season, and another one season. I don't know.
So you would rather be second semi-final in the Champions League than being like 10th, 12th, 11th, and be in Europa League final or something?
Listen, you like to win a trophy. I wouldn't want to be going to 20 Premier League games, 17 Premier League games, and losing.
Yeah.
Like, it's two different things, isn't it? Like, so
I get your point. I don't want to be ranting.
To 36 Premier League games this season, they've seen themselves win 10 times. Tottenham have seen their team win 11 times. You know what I mean? Come on, like 11 times. You would like to go for a season for that? At the end of it, yes. All right, I'd say yes, if that guarantees me the Europa League. But one of those teams is not going to get the Europa League.
Yeah, I get your point. Like,
do you know
they
what I
were
mean?
miserable.
Like, if Man United get it, you can sort of throw away those 17 games. I know what you say. I know, but at the end of the day, come on. You know what I mean? Like,
I get your point. Like,
the other thing is, when we was fifth in the league and we won the FA Cup, we still weren't happy. We weren't happy with it. You know what I mean? Like, we still wanted a manager sacked. We still wanted, like, you know what I mean? We weren't content with it. So I'm guessing that I see it's a bit of banter and all that. But if you sat down with a real honest Man United fan, they take it, but they ain't going to be, oh, this is the be and an end all.
Yeah, no. Even in Kenny here is agreeing with you. He's saying no Man United fan is going to say that we had a great season. This is our worst season ever. You guys keep forgetting that about 10 players are leaving. I agree with you, Kenny. Yeah, but there are some Man United fans that would say that we had a better season than Arsenal. I'm not sure, Kenny, if you agree with this or not. If Arsenal comes second, they reach a semi-final in the Champions League, they didn't win anything. Kenny, the problem is people say we've had a better season than Arsenal, for example, because we won Europa League.
A fella said, I'm not going to take the credit for this, because a fella said to me when coming out of PSG last week, like, he said, look, at the end of the day, Man United or Spurs, if they win that cup, they've not had a better season than Arsenal, right? They've not. But in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, they will, because it'll be like, oh, they won the league, they won the cup 10 years ago. No one's going to say in 10 years' time.
Arsenal came second and Man United was 16th. Yes.
They're going to say Man United won the Europa League, but when they come 16th in the league. They won't say it now. It's not, because it.
No one remembers Sevilla were bottom half of the table when they won Europa League. No one remembers that now. All what they remember is Emery won Europa League with Sevilla. Yeah, exactly later.
Exactly that, and that's how it would be like. You know what I mean? And
I hear your point.
And listen, as Sam says here, we'd rather win the Europa League than and get. I get what he's saying. It's always about trophies, and I get that. So
I want to ask you about Chelsea before we I want to ask about Chelsea. But listen, guys, listen to Luke. Thank you, Luke. Hit that like button, people. Look, over 700 people in the house here. It's a special show with Lee. Of course, you guys are used to panels and stuff for my solo shows, but this is a great opportunity, but there are no games today to get Lee. So hit that like button. Let's get at least to 400 likes, people. Thank you, Luke. Keep reminding people. If it is Rodrygo, Gyökeres, Zubemendi, Arteta must. I'm telling you, Art, one thing. Arteta must, regardless of who comes in. Am I wrong to say that? Arteta must win, regardless of who comes in.
He must win next season, Mo. If we're in this position next season, he's got to go.
Yeah, I agree. There is no argument here. It's not about Rodrygo, Gyökeres, Zubemendi. It is about, it's 7 years. Is it 6 years now? This is his fifth full season, 5.5 years. Next year will be 6.5 years. He must. Yeah. Miranda Mini said, you're wrong, Mo. You have to be ruthless. I agree with Lee. If he wanted to come to Arsenal, he would say yes, no, if no buts. Arsenal are a massive club. Bro, you are a big club, but number one, you're not a massive club. Number two, there is something that goes against you, which is Man United manager have coached this player before, and I've seen a lot of people prefer to be coached with the same coach.
Point.
Like there's a lot of players that prefer to play for the same coach because remember, Amorim coached the guy when he was coming from a championship and he made him a world star. So he would have loyalty to Amorim. That's something. It's not about Man United. Man United as an institute at the current moment cannot compete with Arsenal. Arsenal compete in the Champions League. Arsenal challenge for the league. But there is Amorim. And Amorim by himself is a name that might attract Gyökeres. So you hear my... Like that, it's a lot of people love to work with ex-managers. Lots of people random. So that is the point. AMT, what about that team that doesn't win Europa? They will be the most banter team in the offseason. AMT, I'm telling you from now, the team that will be bantered the most this summer is going to be Arsenal. I'm just being honest. People have to accept it.
Oh, I don't know, Mo. I don't know.
I'm telling you, Lee, bro.
I think if Spurs or Man United don't win that, because both of them think that they've won it at this moment in time. You know, like...
And I tell you honestly, Arsenal losing a game is way more bigger news than Man United losing a game at the current moment.
At the current moment, because they're doing it week in, week out. But
because it's being regular.
Yes,
they would have lost.
But to lose this cup final, will Man United are massive. The Man United to lose. Let's get it with Man United at the moment. If Man United lose to Tottenham, the renowned team that doesn't win anything, right, finishing where they are in the league, losing to Spurs 4 times in the season, they will get pillared.
Well, we do a lot of shows. I do a lot of shows with other people. Lee, I swear to you, when Man United lose a game, nobody cares. Only Man United fans care. Only Saeed cares.
Because of what's gone on at Man United. But Man United are still...
a big club, I'm not saying. There's news out there. But no one cares.
I don't believe... I mean, I can't believe that where they are in the league, that they haven't got as much stick as they have got. But
because no one cares. No one cares.
At this moment in time, Mo,
can I tell you something, Lee? Let me give you a reality. Arsenal losing the league this season, Arsenal got more stick than Man United being 16th. You're second in the league. You got more criticism than Man United being 16th.
Yeah, well, that's part and parcel of football. That's how it is, isn't it?
It tells you where the both clubs are.
Yeah, because they don't. Listen, I get.
I know that Man United
lost to West Ham. It's not a shock for me.
Nobody watched the game.
But when Man United, when West Ham beat Arsenal, it was a massive shock. But you know what I mean? Like Spurs lost to Crystal Palace. We drew.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. No one cares.
Yeah. Like people need to understand that we're Man United. The problem with Man United fans is that they don't accept where they are now. I'm not saying they're not a big club.
Man United's, listen, they've won the FA Cup last season, fantastic, and they have won some trophies in their fall from grace, if you want to put it. But their fall from grace, Mo, has been unprecedented. It's unreal.
Liverpool never finished on bottom half of the table, even during the 30 years.
Liverpool have always been there, always there and thereabouts, even through their worst time. But Man United's fall from grace is spectacular. It is. It's unreal. I never would have thought it like, you know what I mean? I would never have thought that Man United fans would be going, it's all right, we've lost 17 games this season, but we can win the Europa League.
Yes.
That's how big a drop that it is had. It's unreal. Unreal. But as you say, Liverpool and Arsenal, the worst I think Arsenal finished was about 9th, 10th, when I was going for the FA Cup final. As you say, never in the bottom half, nor of Liverpool. So that just shows you, doesn't it?
Can I tell you a stat that I don't think you know? Do you know that Man City over the last 12 years finished above Man United? Every single season for 12 years. He never finished below Man United. 12 years. Tell that to Alex Ferguson then.
12 years.
Man City finished above Man United.
So would you say this then that Manchester United are not the biggest. They're not the biggest or best team in Manchester, are they?
Not now. No.
So when you look
Not
at
now.
Liverpool are the best in Liverpool, Newcastle are the best in Newcastle because there's no one else in Newcastle. Aston Villa are the best in
The Midlands.
Midlands.
Yeah.
Arsenal are the best in London.
Are you the best in London?
Yeah, well, the league on league. I think league form shows that we are.
Okay. I thought over the last 20 years, Chelsea have been way more successful.
Chelsea have.
I've been way more successful than Arsenal over the last 20 years. We're not only looking at the last 3 years. Before that, Chelsea won the Champions League.
I think at the end of the day, like Chelsea have been out there. But Chelsea's fall from grace since they've had their managers been pretty spectacular as well. Chelsea have gone into the non-entity, haven't they? I'm not really worried. Like, do you hate Chelsea like you do? Do you hate Chelsea?
I don't. I never hate Chelsea. I never hated Chelsea.
I hated them in the Mourinho years.
I loved Chelsea and Mourinho. It was amazing. It's great. It's fantastic to watch them. I don't like. There is no club that I dislike but Man United in England. To be honest, I don't have any. Like Man United are the team that I dislike.
I know it's a great conversation you can have. I don't really. People go, don't you hate Chelsea?
Hold on. You're not worried about Chelsea at all, even if they get like summer transfers next season?
No.
Not at all?
They'll never be. I don't think. I'll be very, very surprised if they ever be like the Chelsea that was the Chelsea under Abramovich.
You don't think with the Caicedos, Enzo, Cole Palmer, you don't think that they get a striker?
Some good players. I think they've got very, very good players, but I don't think they'll ever be like that again.
But you don't think they can compete at all next season?
Don't know. Not. Again, I think if you look at Chelsea, I think they need a centre forward, definitely a goalkeeper.
Arsenal need a centre forward.
That's all Arsenal. Arsenal only really need, if you know what I mean, like
you need a left winger. They don't need wingers. You need a playmaker. They have a playmaker.
I think if Arsenal, I know this sounds silly, like because if Arsenal had got the proper centre forward and didn't get no one else and didn't have no injuries, they'd be all right. But then we know that ain't the case. I think that we've got to. I always look at teams and you look at the spine. I've always done that. I've been taught that as a young age, and that goalkeeper, centre half, midfielder, centre forward.
Yeah,
you've got that complete. You're there. Manchester City have had that over the years. That's why they've won things. Chelsea, bloody hell, Chelsea had it in abundance. Arsenal got a good goalkeeper, central defender, midfield, haven't got the forward. Chelsea haven't got a goalkeeper, haven't got the centre halves, haven't got the centre forward.
Okay, so they are linked with 3 players. They are linked with Kobo, they are linked with Rodrygo, and they are linked with a striker. They are still trying with Gyökeres. So did they get these 3 players? You don't think that Chelsea can compete?
Well, I think they can compete then, yeah.
So Chelsea are 3 players away.
And Rodrygo is going to from Real Madrid?
Yeah. They want him. The Real Madrid doesn't want him.
Wow.
He's not. He has 1 year left in his contract. And he's causing problems. And I think there is a reunion that is happening at Chelsea they already spoke to his camp.
Wow.
And I think he might go back.
Oh, well, that would be a good move for him.
Yeah, and good move for them.
Nah.
Why?
Well, he's not the player he was, is he?
Yeah, he's very good. He's going to lead the back line with Colwell or whoever is going to come.
I hope they get him. I hope that's their main target then as central defender. You know what I mean?
But they want
to watch out for next season.
Which teams?
Newcastle. I think Newcastle. I
love this take.
I think that they could be really a team to really watch out for next season.
Challenge.
You got to be like, do you know what I mean? Like, dare I say it? Villa have been disappointing this season in the league.
But because they focus on the Champions League and they almost win the semi-final.
They're ending up with nothing. And
I think Villa are that big to the point that they would be upset that they got nothing. Like quarterfinal of the Champions League.
You know, they've got to listen. They'll be looking at it Friday. They've got a free hit there, haven't they? Tottenham at home. You know
exactly. And they know the last game, right?
Say again.
You know the last game for Aston Villa.
Go on.
Man United.
Yeah, on the last Premier League. Yeah, at
So
Man
they
United.
play. Yeah, but Man United at that time, it's
You know,
either going to be.
Chelsea.
I know. Chelsea have got Forest.
Forest.
And the last game.
They could still get Champions League football.
It's Friday.
Do you think Chelsea?
Chelsea are going to win against Man United, or they're going to win against Forest?
I don't know.
I think so. I'm telling you.
If that's the case, Mo, right? It could, but say for that is the incident, right? Say it could be a shootout, Forest and Chelsea for the.
No, it will be Aston Villa as well.
Yeah, Aston Villa as well. Yeah, so
Aston Villa are going to get 2 wins, and I think Aston Villa at the current moment are on 63 points.
Yeah,
69. I believe that Newcastle will draw Arsenal this weekend, so they're going to be on 67, and I think they're going to win the last game. They're going to get 70. I believe Man City will win a game and draw a game, so they will be on. I think actually Man City can miss out on Champions League. They have Bournemouth and Fulham. If they win one, they draw one, they're only on 69. They're going to be on 69 points, right? So that will be 69 for Man City, but Man City have a superior goal difference, right? So I think it might be Chelsea, Villa, and Man City all on 69 points at the end of the season. And at the current moment, Aston Villa will miss out on goal difference because they have +7.
It's saying to watch that. Be exciting that last.
If Man City lose one game, they can be out of the Champions League next season. But I think they will get 69 points at least.
I think who Man City got on the week?
Fulham and Bournemouth. They have Bournemouth and Fulham away. They have Bournemouth at home and Fulham away. Have you watched Man City against Southampton?
Yeah, that was poor.
So they have Bournemouth at home. They can win that. Or
when they got that game?
It's at Bournemouth. It's away. It's at home. Sorry, it's at the Etihad. Man City play at the Etihad.
All right, yeah. So that's the day before on the 20th, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? So pressure game.
You know,
they don't want to be going into that last game.
Do you know that you still can miss out on Champions League, right? Arsenal.
Yeah, but like you got Forest and Chelsea playing each other.
No, it's not about Forest. It's about Chelsea, Villa, Man City, and Newcastle.
But Forest can still get there.
But still, it doesn't. Even if Forest win the 2 games, I think you win the last game against Southampton. You need 1 point.
1 point to guarantee it. 1 point.
You need 1 point from the last 2 games, Newcastle and Southampton. But pressure will be on in the last game if you lose to Newcastle this weekend. It's a big game this weekend for Arsenal.
Yeah.
You can guarantee second. You can guarantee second if you win against Newcastle.
Yeah. Does
it matter for you at all? Finishing second or third or fourth?
No, it don't bother me.
Doesn't bother you?
Part of me wants to come third because people don't start seeing second again.
I said that yesterday. I swear to God, I said that yesterday. I said Arsenal fans want to get away from a three-peat of second.
Yeah, no, I don't like. Listen, it doesn't matter if you come second, third. I don't care if we come fifth. I really don't care.
You really don't care?
No.
I think it affects the team.
At the end of the day, it was about winning the league. We haven't been in a league race since January, really. So at the end of the day,
I don't think you have been in a title race.
No.
Since September, since Odegaard got injured. I think that was when you completely fell off, and because you didn't buy anybody in January.
As soon as the transfer window shut and we didn't buy anybody,
you knew it was gonna.
Yeah,
it was done. It's over.
That was the day that Arsenal weren't winning anything.
No, you still have hope. You still have hope of the Champions League. You still have hope to win the Champions League.
Yeah, listen, that weren't even a cut. I wasn't even thinking about that at the time. But Mourinho's done well for us. And listen, I think we've done well without no forwards. Don't forget Saka being out for 4 months or 3 months, 3.5 months is a big thing. And he's not I don't care what anybody says. He's not 100% fit now, you know what I mean? They sort of rushed him back.
Yeah.
So listen, I think that if we get the point, at least a point on
Newcastle
against Newcastle, then it's all done and dusted. We don't really want to be going to Southampton, just looking over our shoulder, just in case.
Yeah.
If I'll be really honest.
Because Arteta doesn't do well
It'd be
under
really
pressure.
interesting. Those last few weeks would be interesting. Like, you know, I mean, it's only really the Champions League spots that are there, aren't they? Like, you know, still like to see Forest do it, but or Villa, if I'll be honest. But I think that
I do want to see Villa. To be honest, I want to see City, Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea in the Champions League. For the better of the Champions League, I want to see these teams. I don't want to see Villa. I don't want to see Forest in the Champions League. With all due respect, Forest go to the Champions League, they get knocked out in the first round. I don't want to see that.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Like I don't want to see it. But
As it is now, that's what you'd like to see.
Yeah, I like to see the table as it is, exactly as it is now. I want to see Newcastle because I believe they're going to go another level if they get Champions League football next season. I believe they're going to go big. I think they're going to be a threat to everyone this season. I think Eddie Howe has been the coach of the season this season, along with Arne Slot, of course.
Yeah.
And I think Newcastle are a danger for everyone. I think within 2-3 years, Newcastle will replace Spurs and people will start getting Newcastle panelists instead of Spurs in their panels to do shows. That's what I believe, to be honest. I believe Newcastle are a big danger if they invest, to be honest with you. I like it. This is what I believe.
I agree. I agree. I'm still going to stick my neck out and say that Villa will
make it. And Chelsea at Forest will miss out.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
You want Chelsea to miss out so bad. Let me do this super chat before we get out of here. Man United is the massive club more, and I never said otherwise. People triggered. I am telling you, if Arsenal draw against Newcastle, for example, it's a bigger news than Man City losing to West Ham or Crystal Palace. It's a massive club by revenue, by fan base.
I'm still going to go along with this. If Man United, the journalists and everybody's keeping their powder dry at this moment in time. Wait and see, mate. Wait and see. But if
I'm telling you, Spurs are going to win this time. Spurs are going to win the trophy, and Spurs are going to brag about it for the next 10 years.
It's really a fallout. Don't.
And Expressions is going to cook people, and it's going to be funny. To be honest, Chelsea and Arsenal left wingers are equally average. Yeah, but Chelsea have options in Madueke, Neto. They can play Parmal on the right and Neto on the left, AMT. So I think Chelsea, apart from Saka, Arsenal wingers are so mediocre. They're average. And that's why they're going for Rodrygo and Nico Williams, AMT. I know you're an Arsenal fan, but that's why you need a left winger that is a difference maker. But listen, it's a great show, Lee. To be honest, I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that, man.
Calm and composed. Guys, Lee Judges in the title of the video. Appreciate everyone that stuck with us here. Over 800 people still here with us, watching us. So hit that like button before you go. Go support Judges. Great content. Watch him, watch all his reactions. Him with Dan Potts as well. Congratulations to Potts for making 40K. Great achievement for Dan. So proud of the guy, to be honest, doing great work. I will see you guys tomorrow on the National League. And we're out of here. People, stay here. Don't go anywhere. This will take you to Osam with LB, Ashraf, and Wolfie. That'll be a spicy show. We're out of here, people.